I've got to say, as a fan of PKA, for one, I really appreciate coming on for the 700 spectacular. It means a lot. Thank you, boys, very much.
Thank you.
But also, I think what would be more interesting is if you had the opposite of whatever this is. I want to see an episode where you bring back on the Larry guy who robbed a bank but couldn't describe it.
Can I be honest? Hey, let me stop you for a minute. It's always going to depend. But what I'm looking for from you, Larry, is like an example. Well, this one
I'm giving you a
time,
fucking example.
no, you haven't. Larry, I'm going to start treating you as a hostile guest very soon. I'm sure you've seen. I bet that you've been treated as a hostile witness before. We're talking.
I want you
to tell me a story. I want to hear a story about a specific robbery. Just pick any one. One robbery. One robbery.
I was just telling you about the Sarasota with the old lady.
I can't tell.
Or the jewel thief.
Yes.
And then you bring on the Netflix producer who could not explain what it was.
And like he comes home and seeks revenge, and somehow he's the bad guy.
Are you a gamer?
Yeah.
You guys are all gamers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, Woody, you are. You got a Call of Duty back Black Ops.
I get passionate about games, and then I completely withdraw. I am a sawtooth pattern of gaming. Why did you ask?
This is going real well.
Just is it?
What does a producer do?
No, you don't seem to want to talk about your project. Like we're trying to engage you about like what you do, right? And sort of lead that into us picking your brain a bit about the process and future projects. And you're just like, you got an interesting background. And hey, do you play video games?
You do.
You just have like the worst hits. Like,
and then we have the
mushroom guy who left his children with them.
Yes,
part of the lady.
The one who tried to explain that, like, no, if you kill your wife, just forget about it. It'll be okay.
It'll blow over.
There are real people who do things that, as you sit there in your chair smugly judging them, they're real people who don't know what to do about situations.
Well, this woman, idiot, man.
This woman,
you described craziness.
This woman who was
married to him was going to agree with
this Asian woman.
So he hooked up with Michael, and they went to Costa Rica and left the kids with her, and it all worked out. And Michael says that I'm sitting here smugly judging her. Shut up, Michael. Michael, won't you? You're being a little smug there for someone who's on the side of a house somewhere with birds calling and dogs barking. I heard a stranger walk by a minute ago. Don't be rude to me and cut me off. I let you trail on for 3 fucking. I don't know how many stories of nonsense.
You know, what you need to do is you need to be like, yeah, we're going to have you guys on at different times, but you actually get all of them in a room at once and then leave.
Can we have the girl? I want the girl bouncing her boobies the whole time too. The one who just sat there and like shuffled her feet.
Yeah, the one that did the RC racing track.
No, the one we just talked about tonight, the mint fucking girl who we had,
autistic boobs,
who was shaking her titties.
I'm trying to remember the highlights. There was that one guy who got onto Taylor for vaping. I can't even remember what he did.
Oh, that was the CEO of Dollar Shave Club.
That's it. Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're vaping here on the show. Like, what do you think we're doing, dude? Like,
I saw a great opportunity. I went after it. Are you vaping on the air right now, bro?
I am.
He's not getting high, if that's what you're thinking.
No. I'm just very excited to see you vaping. It's very relaxing.
I don't approve, but
to watch you vape. You know, that stuff's just as bad as the cigarettes, man.
Yeah, but not until like evidence comes up.
Right.
I need the evidence.
I can't believe we have the CEO of Dollar Shave Club.
What
do you think this is?
Yeah. Walked into NPR,
like Bill Maher smokes weed on his show. Do you think that this is like a Fox News panel or something you're on? What the fuck?
Yeah. You're here to talk about business. How's their shaving?
Was I there for that, or was I in jail?
You're in between an OnlyFans chick and
this was
a streamer and a meth head.
Yeah,
it was Red Couch Kyle, I think.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Dude, I love this idea, Isaiah. I want maybe episode 800 we can get the worst of the worst. I think he died.
He was in a coma last I heard.
Even then,
like
pull through Zach.
Guest.
If you don't have them on at the same time, you've got to purposefully mix up the questions. So you go to Larry and you're like, "What's a producer do?" And he'd be like, well, you know, in the jewel robbing business, my daughter fixes my phones, actually.
No, my daughter, she wouldn't believe this. She programs phones.
She's a whiz. A whiz, this kid. She's going somewhere.
He's clearly describing like setting up an iPhone. Like,
yeah, like hitting next and entering your email.
God bless that man. He's just
she can connect to Bluetooth headphones. And
he's giving her credit for like just things that are on an iPhone. He's like, you don't understand. It shows me how to get to work. It shows me how to get to the club. She programmed it for me. Like she was like typing the addresses.
That had to be, I think, the most frustrating podcast I ever listened to. Because the whole time I'm like, how do you rob a jewelry store?
I was sitting here
I was exasperated.
Because I felt responsible for him. It's like I had brought him to a party and he had pissed on the rug. And I'm trying to be like, guys, yes, he pissed on the rug, but please, he has some great anecdotes. If we could just get them, and he won't fucking
juggles.
tell.
Give him a second.
He juggles, like, and he can't find. Hey, where are my parabolas? And it was
I did
awful.
that, Kyle. I watched a surfer from New Jersey who just had the right vibe. I thought he'd be an amazing guest, and we brought him on the show. And he like wasn't even paying attention to the show. There was a guy in the background who was a way better guest, his friend.
Oh yeah, old Ben Gravy. Yeah,
yeah. He was. What frustrated me wasn't that he's bad, because sometimes people are bad. It was that he wasn't even trying. Like he didn't give a fuck about the show, and that I hated it.
Of the three guys you mentioned for like having a worst of all time show, the only one that I thought like that I genuinely liked at the end of the episode was the jewel thief guy, because he wasn't like the producer dude was being like intentionally obstinate about. We'd be like, what does a producer do? And he doesn't want to say I have a made up job. And so he just weasels around intentionally. Whereas Larry, God bless him, could not get to the point and would just meander. He was the guy at the very end, like one of the funniest moments of the episode, where he just was like, just called me fat right at the end. It was just like, you're fat. And I'm like, you're fatter than I am, dude. Like, so we had a little bit of a fat off. I'm so hungry, I'm about to pass out.
You look like you fucking can't fucking lose a few pounds. Just relax, so you'll be all right.
I'm working towards it. You're fatter than I am.
I am. But I lost. Hey, listen, I went from almost 260. I'm down to 225 today.
You're living in a glass house, my friend. This fat fuck telling you to lose weight. I better not catch you in prison, huh? I better not catch you 40 years ago.
I gotta shake this fucking guy. I see him on the street.
You do your best, bud. No, you better hurry up. Old age creeping in.
You're right. But if I get you
we're all short on time here at PKA. So thank you, Larry, so very much for coming on tonight. I love your stories so very much.
Yeah, they were great.
I
but you guys were gonna fight, right? He was like, you were like not at all scared. You were like, come at me, you fat old man.
I forgot about the fighting part.
I don't think that'd go your way, Larry.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I like Larry. You could tell he was just like an older guy who wasn't a huge camera personality.
You should have called him a punk.
Yeah,
bitch.
Yeah,
right? You should have been like, I bet you didn't even rob a store.
Larry, I'm gonna come over and take you. I bet you never robbed anybody, Larry. I bet you just a punk. I'm gonna come.
Larry, don't let anyone tell you that you're too old for the game. Get back out there.
He's got gadgets from 1993 that he thinks are like Star Wars cut. That's a whole fucking. I'd watch that show.
It's like, Larry, you know that James Bond rebreather isn't real, right? You're gonna drown.
What was wild about that too is that when he did say stuff, it was like the coolest stuff ever. He's like, oh yeah, well, we were going from Jersey to New York, so our window was shot out, so we had to pull up behind a truck and quickly zoom off. Like, please do not speak about this and then go back to programming iPhones. There has to be.
It's like you skipped over
right there.
You skipped over part of 6 awesome stories right there.
Yeah.
Please
he had
tell
no
them.
idea
And he's like,
what was interesting to us. He doesn't know how to tell a story, and he has no idea which of his memories have interest to others. It's like, dude, I've never met anyone who robbed jewelry stores. You were a professional thief. That to me is some Reservoir Dogs shit. That's what I'm picturing when he's talking. I'm picturing the scene in Reservoir Dogs where they're sitting outside talking about the manager gives you any guff. fucking cut his pinky finger off. Then he'll tell you if he wears ladies' underwear. Like, that's what I'm picturing. And that's what I want out of him. I want to fucking build up. Like, yeah, and I had Mikey with me, and Mikey's a little guy, but he's good with his hands. He's good with his hands. And I knew Mikey had Mike. It's like, okay, Mikey's behind us. He's good with his hands. Like, you're kind of going along with him on a fucking story. And he had no concept of a narrative, a story.
I tell you, man, there's just some people out there who cool stuff happens to, but they just can't relay it. You know? But I think socially people need at least a little bit of storytelling know-how, just to get by. But like, for example, my sister, I recently went to her college graduation, and the commencement speaker was a guy who had been to space. Like, he had orbited the Earth, right? Or like been to the ISS or something.
Very cool.
And he gets up there and he was like, yeah, I was in college and I dropped out. So then I went military and I went to the Air Force. Anyway, I was in space one day and that was pretty neat. So yeah, you guys do good. Like, it's like, what? Come back. No, don't stop there. It was
what
ridiculous.
was space like?
Yeah, you were in a rocket ship. Explain that. Yeah.
That was boring. I didn't like it. It's like, just lie. Say it was cool.
Do you remember the Right Opinion, that guest?
Was he British?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
And he does like storytelling videos, really like well-produced stuff. And I asked ChatGPT who the worst PKA guest was ever, and it called him out.
Yeah. Oh, I have seen him on some list people have discussed before. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I like his channel a lot.
Yeah, I think he makes good content. This just isn't his format.
I feel like that about Larry Lawton. If you go to his channel, there's some good content on there, and it feels like someone got him. Like someone walked him through the story and edited the video or something.
I think his son did, right? He said like his son does editing for him.
That's who he's going to send after you. Little Larry.
Little Larry?
Little Larry.
Little Larry's he's going to tweet a picture at me of my house and then I'll know that he's nearby. Ooh.
He's good with his hands.
It's wild that
I have no jewels.
It's wild that Kyle went to jail for a plant. But then this guy who robs diamond stores had worse jail stories. Kind of sad. No offense, Kyle, but it's kind of sad,
Yeah. He was terrible. I was embarrassed by him.
Worth of stories out of his 60 days because he's good at talking.
I was actively angry with him. It felt like he was self-sabotaging to like mock me. That's what I was like. There's no way that he's like bombing to make me look bad somehow.
There's the only people that there's 0% chance we could get back are the producer guy, and I was gonna say the hallucinogen. Take the guy whose like wife is. We could probably talk him into coming on again, and then you have to remember, Kyle, you have 4 kids.
Is it 3 or 4?
I think let's go 5, and then. It will have been enough time.
I said 3.
Okay. I had twins recently. Sorry.
I had names ready.
Yeah. What were they going to be?
Bill, Diane, and Toby.
I was hoping it would be like Blinky, Winky, and Nod. Like,
you wouldn't believe that.
Just go to that guy. Be like, Kyle wants to say he's sorry on the
And
show.
if he questions any name, that's immediately a dead relative they were named after who died in a heroic way. It's like, how dare you?
He was named after my aunt Susan, who was killed on an acid expedition in Puerto Rico.
I had no idea.
No idea. A fellow fallen soldier.
You remember
she left her children
relative?
with a pedophile. I couldn't. Oh, and then the guy who I called out for not having actually been stabbed by his dad, maybe him too.
Wasn't that the guy who voices Woods on Black Ops?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
But it's right here. It's like he caught me right, and it got under the skin, so it hit the oblique and bounced off my hip muscle and got caught in the flesh, right? But it was in pretty deep, and I couldn't. It was like wiggling, so I ran. I went down to the fort, and I was trying to get it out, but it was serrated. So, and I was like, I kind of got it out, and I had like all kind of fishing gear, like fishing hooks and nylon wire. So I kind of like took it, and I took the hook, and I kind of knocked the barb off, and I kind of like 4 stitches in there.
None of this happened.
You're calling bullshit on this, Kyle?
None of this happened. How old were you when you Rambo style sewed your stomach together?
Look at this. I'm from a rural place, right? Grew up in Rivers.
I don't know what that's like at all.
This is commonplace where I'm from. A lot of drunk people. Like getting cut.
He was fun for the most part, except that was a baffling tale where he was like, and then my dad stabbed me with like a poker and it's sticking out of me. And so I run into the woods like you do when you're stabbed. And then I hung out there until like it cooled off. And it's like,
I stitched it up myself.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Show us the scar.
It's to show us the scar. It's like that.
Get naked on the show right now. Go ahead.
It's like me and her got it on. This guy I know, him and her did the wild thing. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. But you can imagine what it'd be like if it did, huh? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I'd rather do a show with Chris Farley's exhumed corpse than that producer again.
That producer's so funny. I like to think that he knew exactly what he was doing. It was too good.
Do you remember the show? The show looked like dog shit. And
it's Castlevania, right?
Yes, maybe something like that. He like wrote himself into it as like a cool guy.
Castlevania is a good show. He wrote himself into some non-fucking sense that was crazy, and he was like the Tony Stark of the fucking show. It was live action, but I think there might have been some like various other types of media mixed in. It was like a fever dream to watch. I think there might have been stop action and animation mixed with live action, and none of it made any fucking sense. And it was so ridiculous. I didn't watch much of it, to be fair, but it was just clearly going to be shit.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say I might be misremembering, but didn't he have something to do with the whole Apu thing, or was that someone else?
Yes, we found out about that, or at least I did. At least I found out after the fact, because I would have had a fucking field day with this guy if I would have known that he was responsible for getting one of my favorite Simpsons characters, Apu, removed from the show because Apu had the crime of being Indian, racist much. And they're like, oh, he's a voiced by a white man. Yeah, because Hank Azaria, I think is his name, does an excellent Indian 7-Eleven worker. Like those guys didn't grow on trees in the late 80s. Like you find that guy and you find that guy.
Find an Indian man. Okay. They were rare. Okay. It's not like today where there's billions of
Imagine if there were like billions of them to choose from and you still went with someone like this.
Will you pay $5 million in episode?
I went back. I found that episode we did from episode 585 from 2 years ago. The producer and the top comment with 1.2 thousand upvotes is laughing at Kyle saying, "We are trying to engage you to discuss your projects more. I'd be happy not to talk about you if that's what you prefer."
I love it when Kyle does it. Kyle will flip a switch and decide this guest would like he just what is it called when you cut the hook off? Cut bait, maybe.
Yeah, I turn off the politeness and geniality completely, and it's like, all right, now you're just dealing with me. So
there's one point during like it goes quiet. I think it was one of the times he asked about like video games or whatever. Yeah. It goes quiet, and then Kyle goes, "This is going great."
This is going great.
Because I know the audience can feel it. I know that they feel what I feel. Like especially the ones who are like audio only, perhaps, who are like in a car and it's all quiet, and they're like checking their fucking like media player. Like, did it pause or stuff? Oh, they're just. Oh, it's awkward, huh? And I know it is. I know it is because that guy struck me as someone who had done so much cocaine that there was part of the brain that didn't work right anymore.
I don't remember the exact question, but I remember it being kind of well formed, like something I had put together, during the minutes coming up to it. And I asked him this question, we lay it out there, and he goes, "Do you guys like video games?" It was like, what the flying fuck? You're just gonna change topics on that?
Yeah, that guy was full of pregnant pauses, and just he'd be like, "So what does being a producer entail?"
All miscarriages.
Yeah, all miscarriages. 100% of them abortions.
I don't know why I don't do that. Why I don't come on here and you ask something and I'm just like, FPSRussia. Yeah.
You were that gun guy.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, you did
accurate.
Yeah, he would start sentences with Sam. He'd be like,
"Oh, zing!
Being a producer entails a lot of things."
You may tell you what a producer does,
and there'd be nothing else.
A producer is a position that does wear a couple of different hats. Namely, if you're a real producer, then you're part financier and part guide to the project. This project is going off to meet your vision, not maybe the nuts and bolts, but you want a machine that does this. Okay, you don't care about the gears and the gizmos, the scenes and the lighting. You want this product, and you're financing it to some degree or another. That's what a producer does. Now, you can get producer credits if you're an actor and as a negotiating thing, because you're getting paid twice for the movie. That's a different thing. That's not a real.
Sometimes they make all the hiring decisions. You know, you need an armorer, you need a cleaning crew, you need.
You've got a casting director for that. You know, there's lots of fucking jobs on that fucking set. I don't know why I'm cursing.
On that
we're getting fired him up. Yes,
fucking set. No, I'm just remembering how annoyed I was with that.
No, I'm right. They hire the production staff, is what I'm saying.
You can tell pretty quick who's a producer and who's a producer on stuff. You know.
Yeah, sure. It's like, what's your producer? Oh, so like you're the nephew of a showrunner at Netflix. Yeah. Sweet.
You are the guy who made one phone call that helped the catering get here. So
yeah. I can't imagine like going on a show, even ours, like any podcast, as a producer of a Netflix show and not knowing anything.
Did you
like not being able to say any? I think I watched a clip, I believe, that Kyle sent in our group chat, and it was like it was literally like his own like suave character written in. Like it would literally be like, hey, Netflix, I'm doing a show and it's called Taylor, and it's about the coolest guy ever, and he's jacked and he gets all the pussy, and it's and every episode it's about how his war is not that he can't handle something because he's awesome and infinite and he can do anything. His problem is always convincing the people around him to accept that he's as awesome as he is. And it's like, that's not compelling.
I can't remember the storyline, but I do think it is the worst piece of media, written, television, or movies that I have ever consumed. I've never heard a song as bad. It was dreadful. It was
Shaggy's
super
Fake
bad.
Nuke was better.
It was way better. Way better. Yeah. I asked Shaggy what the worst TV show she ever saw was like a month ago, and she came up with that guy's show.
Wow.
I watched maybe 15, 20 minutes of it or something like that. And I don't remember it very well either, but he had made himself like the Tony Stark of the universe or something like that. And it was like, it was really ugly to look at and disjointed. It was like a fever dream. It made no sense.
It was a little bit live action, a little bit animated, and a little bit stop motion.
It was like an experimental,
just a ridiculous thing to put together.
Oh, big time! It was like an experimental student film. That's what it felt like. It felt like something you would watch at a liberal arts college on a Saturday night, and everyone would clap lightly afterwards and leave. You know, like it was bizarre, but it was on Netflix.
I mean, if you search this guy on YouTube, a lot of it is just worst guest in PKA history. Like,
well, a lot of guys like that. Like, they never have a public face. Like, maybe in the industry, but not to just people. So all it takes is one appearance on a podcast or a show or something, and it's gone. They're done.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
maybe not industry wise, but at least publicly. I don't hate the guy. That was just an insane interview. Every part of it.
You know who I'm legitimately not happy with? Hodor. He said he would come on the show and then he pulled out. We called him a bitch for like 5 years.
I would have liked to have spoken.
I don't know why he's so bad.
Yeah, why are you all sour about it, you big oaf?
He's like a gay club DJ, a gigantic one.
I'd love to ask Daniel Day-Lewis style questions to him, where it'd be like, my understanding is you actually didn't speak for the entire 7-year run, even in your personal life. Is that true? And he's like, no, of course not. It's like, oh, really? Like asking disappointed.
I heard you lived on the land during that entire filming process, growing your own grain. Is that right? You ate lizards.
Is that right? I heard that you practiced for it by terrorizing Scottish villages and being chased with pitchforks and torches.
No, none of this is true.
No? So you have a problem with your weight.
That's true.
Just being rude as shit.
It's awful. Yeah, I really wanted him as a guest at the time because we were such huge fans of the show. And I don't think he had died yet. I think he was actively on the show carrying Bran around or some shit. Like he was a big part of the show in that season. Like he was one of the main characters.
It came about because he said he loved being on podcasts. So we invited him to our podcast and he said yes. And then maybe he watched the show. I don't know, but he got cold feet and didn't want to do it anymore.
I think he got harassed on Twitter by our people. They kept asking him, and he was like, "I said yes," and they're like he doesn't know how the internet works. I guess it's like they don't know you said yes, dude. And so for like days, people are asking him because people watching the show over the course of a week or 2 weeks sometimes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They probably still like watch that old episode and like let's ring him up.
Or he just got online and was like, lock and load. What the
These guys ripping on my thumbs.
This is pre-cummy days.
That would be so funny if we could get him now.
After the show, after he's
just 8 years.
I hear they're making a standalone Hodor show. Is that true? No, not at all. Really, because that'd be great for you, right?
I hear that you're doing a lot of DJ work at venues with sturdy stages.
So you're fat. Tell us about that.
Sounds like reword that question all day long.
Be like, I've been fat. I know how it is. Not like, but like just
you're like famous for being like weird looking.
Yeah,
now.
I've been fat. I've never.
They
been
saw you and they thought, retarded giant, perfect. He's the guy to catch.
Everyone hated you in Winterfell. You food grubbing, selfish giant. They were all terrified while you're stealing turkey legs out of people's hands. Is what I imagine it being.
And also your character too, not just
your character. Yeah, he was also roundly disliked.